The 2008 Formula One Championship was one for the ages, as it was decided in the last turn of the last lap, literally. Hamilton won his first title and Felipe Massa was left empty-handed in what happened to be a controversial ending of the season. But now, 15 years later, there's a new turn of events as Felipe Massa plans a shocking step in order to dispute Hamilton's title. Can he manage to effectively steal the British driver's title like the latter did in Brazil in 2008, or his attempts will prove to be futile? Join us as we explore this new situation that has arisen. The Brazilian Grand Prix of 2008 was a race that will go down in history as one of the most dramatic and thrilling Formula One season finales. Lewis Hamilton, just 23 years old, went into the race needing only a fifth-place finish to clinch the World Championship title. However, the race was anything but straightforward, with a number of twists and turns that kept fans on the edge of their seats until the very end. Despite qualifying fourth on the grid, Hamilton started the race calmly and took few risks, hoping for a safe and uneventful race that would secure him the championship title. But the rain that started just before the race began changed everything, and Hamilton was forced to contend with a wet and slippery track. While Hamilton drove a cautious race and kept his car in fourth place for much of the race, his main rival for the championship, Felipe Massa, was dominating the race and appeared to be on his way to victory. However, in the final laps of the race, Hamilton's fortunes changed dramatically, and after briefly dropping out of championship contention, Hamilton was able to regain fifth place in the penultimate corner of the race, thanks to Timo Glock's misfortune, and secure the championship title. But now, 15 years later, it seems that Felipe Massa was given new hopes that he can somehow steal back his title from Hamilton, and the solution comes from the unexpected of places. Massa was prompted to speak out after Bernie Ecclestone's recent remarks about the controversial 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, which was most notable for Nelson Piquet Jr.'s deliberate crash, resulting in a safety car, ultimately allowing his then Renault teammate Fernando Alonso to win. Massa was leading at the time, but suffered a botched pit stop as a result of the safety car, which dropped him down to 13th place. Meanwhile, his main title rival, Lewis Hamilton, finished third, resulting in a point swing that arguably decided the World Championship outcome. So Ecclestone's comments have prompted Massa to speak out about the events of the day, which had a huge influence on the title battle. The controversy surrounding the race eventually led to Renault facing a 2-year suspended ban from F1, and team boss Flavio Briatore and technical chief Pat Simmons were also punished for their roles in the events. Massa called for the cancellation of the Singapore GP result, but the FIA couldn't comply, as the International Sporting Code sets the season's classification in stone once the FIA awards ceremony is complete. Additionally, the FIA's investigation did not find any evidence implicating Alonso or the Renault team in the crash plan, so the governing body believed it would be unjust to alter the outcome. Despite the FIA's decision not to change the result, Massa believes that recent comments from Ecclestone provide grounds for a review. Ecclestone claimed in a recent review with the F1 Insider website that he and then FIA President Max Mosley were aware of the rules breached during the 2008 season, which was a time when action could have been taken to alter the result. We decided not to do anything for now. We wanted to protect the sport and save it from a huge scandal. That's why I used angelic tongues to persuade my former driver Nelson Piquet to keep calm for the time being. Back then, there was a rule that a World Championship classification after the FIA awards ceremony at the end of the year was untouchable. So Hamilton was presented with a trophy and everything was fine. We had enough information and time to investigate the matter. According to the statutes, we should have cancelled the race in Singapore under these conditions. That means it would never have happened for the championship standings. And then Felipe Massa would have become world champion and not Lewis Hamilton, said Ecclestone. Those remarks have drawn interest from Massa, who says he wants to evaluate whether or not there are grounds now to take the matter further in legal channels. Speaking to motorsport.com during the recent Stock Car Pro Series weekend in Goiânia, Massa said, "There is a rule that says that when a championship is decided, from the moment the driver receives the championship's trophy, things can no longer be changed, even if it has been proven a theft. At the time, Ferrari's lawyers told me about this rule. We went to other lawyers and the answer was that nothing could be done. so I logically believed in this situation. But after 15 years, we hear that the former owner of the category says that he found out in 2008, together with the president of the FIA, and they did nothing so as not to tarnish the name of F1. This is very sad. To know the results of the race was supposed to be cancelled and I would have a title. In the end, I was the one who lost the most with this result. So, we're going after it to understand all this. Although Massa acknowledges the slim chances of challenging the result, he remains determined to explore his options and recognizes that, depending on the country, there are limitations on how far back one can go to resolve a situation. But he plans to examine the laws and rules to see what can be done. It's important to note that Massa's pursuit of justice is not motivated by financial compensation. Instead, he believes that cancelling the result of the race would be the only just outcome, given that he was punished for something that wasn't his fault and the race was essentially stolen. For Massa, justice must be served, and he's willing to pursue all available avenues to achieve it. He ended by saying it was not uncommon for other sports to amend results many years after competitions when fresh evidence of cheating had emerged, quoting Lance Armstrong's example when the cyclist was stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles when he was found guilty of using doping. So it's apparent that Massa is going to try to reverse the title in his favor. But could that happen? Despite his honest intentions to pursue justice, it appears unlikely that the result of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix can be cancelled. The International Sporting Code, which the FIA follows, does not allow for protests after a race, and any request for a review must be made within 14 calendar days after a competition and before the date of the FIA prize-giving ceremony. Moreover, the International Court of Appeal is the only authority with the power to make a ruling, and all persons involved in a championship must agree to abide by its decisions. There are no alternative courts that Massa could use. Article 1.3.1b of the ISC also mandates competitors to submit themselves to the decision of the sporting authority and the consequences that may result from them. While the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, might seem like a possible option, it has no jurisdiction over the FIA on issues such as this, and can only be involved in matters relating to the FIA's Anti-Doping Disciplinary Committee as dictated by the FIA statutes. The FIA's judicial structure, where the International Court of Appeal has the final say, was a significant factor in Mercedes' decision not to challenge the result of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Lewis Hamilton lost the championship due to a controversy surrounding the running of the race. F1 race director Michael Masi had not followed the rules, but since the ICA was the only available avenue for a ruling, Mercedes chose not to pursue this matter any further. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff has stated that if there were other legal channels available, the team would have explored them. We believe we had a very strong case, and if you look at it from a legal side, it would have been judged in a regular court. You could almost guarantee that we would have won, he said. But the problem with the ICA is the way it is structured. The FIA can't really mark their own homework, and there's a difference between being right and obtaining justice. It is understandable to sympathize with Felipe Massa's situation, as he came so close to winning the championship in 2008. But overturning the result of the 2008 season would set a significant precedent and would likely lead to legal challenges from drivers across various eras of Formula One, and this could result in a rewriting of the sport's history, which is not something that the sport can afford. Additionally, the evidence required to overturn a Formula One season result would need to be overwhelmingly concrete, which is unlikely in this case. Therefore, despite the sympathy for Massa, it is unlikely that he will be able to overturn the result of the 2008 season, and Lewis Hamilton will remain a 7-time world champion. What do you think? Will Massa manage to win in this court battle, or will Hamilton retain his first world title? Let us know in the comments below, and see you next time.